Hello, my name is Qasim Riza Shaheen. I am an artist and a writer based in Manchester. I've had a practice for a very long time, for around 25 years. And at the core of my practice, this idea of the portrait, the self, the exploration of who we are and how we project ourselves has been key to my practice and very central in the way that I have made work. I'd like to offer you an insight into some of the portraits that I have made over the years, lots of self-portraits and selfies and video stills as I talk to you and as they run by during our conversation. So one of the most important things around taking a photograph is your intention of why you're doing it. So why are you taking the photograph? Who is this photograph for? Who are you posing for? Who are you potentially engaging with through the stillness of the pose? Think about what the background is, how you are positioning yourself and where you are positioning yourself. Because remember, your portrait is a composite of your surroundings and yourself, because it gives you a context into who you are. Lighting is another really important factor. Nothing like natural sunlight, finding that light at the right time of the day, in front of your window, outside, avoiding harsh lighting if that is the look that you're wanting to go for. And I'll come back to that in a minute. So there's this idea that, you avoid shadows and you avoid harsh lighting, but generally speaking, yes, try to find a balanced kind of a light for your portrait. Angle that you take it in, I'm sure that you've all heard this many times. We have our, those flattering angles, or we have our better side. Think about where you feel most comfortable in placing yourself in front of the lens. Asymmetry as well. Where in the image, in the frame, are you placed? That is also something to take note of as you play with the device and your relationship to it. Once you've taken this image, then there is this idea of post-production, and there are so many stock filters and there's so many applications when you can just throw your image in and it processes it in a whole multitude of ways, from different eras to special effects to, really kind of making it much more punchy as an image. I would suggest that you sort of think about your device a bit more and what you can do with the device in terms of just simple editing, in terms of contrast, saturation, slightly brightening the image. So I'm a little old school. I used to spend hours in the dark room working on a single image, hand printing black and white photographs. So I remember that, there was this kind of real careful, calculated, subtle kind of a shift in the way that we brought out that image. So think about maybe using less of the stock filters and just trying to kind of work with what the device offers you. Obvious one here, clean your lens. We have our grubby fingers all over our devices all the time. Give your lens, the camera lens, the device lens, a little bit of a wipe before you start taking photographs. You'll be surprised at what difference that makes. There's a dot, that is the lens. Follow that. Try and follow that and try to find that natural pace whilst focusing on that little dot. I think we have a tendency to constantly look at ourselves in the device rather than the actual lens, and that loses the connection with the viewer. Really obvious again, but it's just something to kind of take note of when you do take your selfies as an exercise that I'm proposing. Now, what I'd like you all to do is to take a selfie, but I want you to take one where you take into consideration everything that I'm offering, all of these points. But then I also want you to take one which is kind of the antithesis, the anti-selfie. I want you to take a selfie which breaks down all of those rules and create a true selfie, a selfie which is not posed, which is not perfectly lighted, which is not posing for someone else, but actually finding a stillness for yourself, finding that place of comfort within yourself. I think that's when, for me, selfies start to become meaningful. When your audience shifts from a real person into an imagined, nameless, faceless being, or perhaps even a very introspective moment where you're thinking, I just want to look at myself in the mirror. So when your selfie becomes a reflection in the mirror, then that becomes, for me, an anti-selfie, or it becomes kind of like the true selfie, where there's no pretense, but just a real, honest declaration of who we are. So 2 selfies. Take one with all the rules that you'll find, not just in what I've suggested, but all over the internet. I'm sure there are many tutorials out there that will give you, step-by-step instructions of how to best make a selfie. But I also think that it's worth having a go at breaking all of those codes down and actually taking a real, honest, introspective selfie where you celebrate yourself for just the way you are, with no filters, with no posing, but actually just finding a stillness within yourself. I really hope you enjoy that process. As you can see from this whole array of photographs, I've really played with the idea of character and persona in my work. My work celebrates the idea of fluidity and the play with becoming and reflecting different persons on myself as a performer, as an actor, as an impersonator. I think it's been an amazing journey for me, exploring the face and the portrait. And my task for you is just to kind of have a go and just create these 2 selfies, and then just look at the difference between the 2. One which is for somebody else, and one which is truly for yourself.